Today, we're going to take a look at the budget camera rig that I'm shooting on right now. So if you've ever looked into kind of filmmaking, documentaries, or any sort of higher end video production, you've probably noticed that a lot of people don't just have their camera, they have it in a whole rig system. There can be rails, lights, all sorts of stuff, monitors even, or external capture devices, microphones, whatever. So today I'm going to show you this budget camera rig that I made by taking things I already had and then spending about an extra $70-ish on some accessories that really help me take my shooting game to the next level. So right now on this system, I've got my main camera, which is the Canon 80D. You've seen this in a bunch of my videos. This is the one camera I have and I use it for everything. So I have it on this Z grip kind of rig, which we'll get to in a second. And then I've got the Kit 18 to 135 millimeter lens. This lens is great, super telephoto if I need it. 18 with the APS-C size sensor, it's really more like a 29 mil, but it's nice and sharp, really nice. Then I've also got the Rode VideoMic Pro, which is what I'm using to record audio right now. If you're interested, you could also look into the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. That auto on-off feature, very nice to have when shooting with a DSLR. Another thing we have is lights. So if I can just turn it on, boom! I've got a light with adjustable brightness that you can see right now. I've also got my main key light up here. So there you go. That's like a small light. It's kind of similar to one of those aperture lights that you see a lot of people might use. They're pretty nice. This one, about $30 when I bought it. Another thing I'm using is up top, I've got my phone, which is acting as an external monitor using the Canon Connect app, which is super critical because with the handle on the back of the grip, there isn't actually a way for the screen to fold around unless you turn it around, then mount the camera on. But this works out just fine because I can see myself up in the monitor and it's basically free. The Canon Connect app is already there and there are some third-party equivalents, I believe for Sony, maybe Nikon has one, not 100% sure. Let's talk about the merits of this for handheld shooting. All right, I really wasn't expecting to have to use this camera right now, but hey, anything to get the shot, right? So this is my action camera that I'm filming on right now. So sorry if the audio and the video isn't looking too weird. So here is the camera rig that I was talking about. And let's talk about the merits of this for handheld shooting, which you might use for kind of a documentary style, or hell, even some B-roll that you just want to kind of film on the go. So what we've got here is the camera rig. As I mentioned, this is kind of the Z grip. So this kind of piece along the outside is the Z grip, and this is what you use to mount everything. Up at the top here are the three hot shoe mounts. You've got the adjustable brightness light, as I mentioned. The Rode VideoMic Pro is mounted over here, and then this is the phone I'm using for the camera monitor. It's actually off right now. But the key thing to note is that it's on this little small rig ball head. So it's a hot shoe to 1/4 inch mount that I've put a little phone mount on. So the phone can articulate kind of every which way. So if you're shooting with yourself in front of the camera, if you're over top of the camera, you can put it facing down like this. So it's a very adjustable monitor, which is very key for shooting because sometimes you're in front of the camera for A-roll, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're behind shooting some B-roll. So it's very nice to have that adjustability. Then on the bottom, you can see there's these little skids here with some very nice textured rubber. So you can actually set this down on something and it will stay perfectly fine. And then here is where you put the tripod plate. Under there is the camera screw that mounts the camera to this with the hard foam on top. And then this is where you put your tripod plate underneath here. And if you have a pretty slim tripod plate, it will actually fit flush, so you can still put this down on whatever surface you want to rest it on. So for handheld shooting, there are a number of benefits. One, the adjustable external monitor. If you already have a camera with a flip screen, these effects can kind of be negated a little bit. But that's okay. The biggest benefit I can see is the stability you get with this two-handed shooting. So what you've got here is you've got the grip on the DSLR as normal, but then instead of just kind of holding here somewhere or holding the lens, which, you know, isn't so great, you can either hold back here for some nice steady panning shots if you're into that, or you can shift your grip to hold it completely from the top and the bottom or the side, so you can get some nice kind of low shots if you were kind of lower to the ground, get some nice smooth pans. So that's kind of the versatility you get with this. Hold it from the top, do some smooth panning action like this, or from the back, or from the bottom if you really needed to get overhead for something. And then with that setup, you can also tilt the smartphone that you're using as a camera monitor down, so you can get a lot of those smooth shots still. And then, if you need a little bit of light, boom, you've got it. You need to adjust the brightness, that's done. If you need to adjust settings on the camera, the LCD screen on the back is still visible. You just need to kind of move it over to the side and see, your settings or whatever. All of the camera controls are easily reachable right here. With a lot of other more expensive systems, there's rails everywhere, and that's not ideal. And there really is a lot of versatility here, because with this Z Grip, which by the way only costs like $28 in Canada, there's 3 hot shoe mounts right at the top here. So if you were shooting B-roll, you could ditch the microphone and add something else. Or if you didn't need the monitor because you'd already flipped out the camera screen, boom, you've got some room there. So really, the kind of key here is the versatility. And then if you need to, you can still absolutely change out your lenses while the camera is still on there. And then based on what lens you're using, you can move the camera forward and backward on the system, because as you can see, there are different mounting positions, and then you can also move it a little bit left and right if the balance of your camera is severely shifted in one direction. Another key thing to note is that if you have a camera that's really tall, it ain't gonna fit. So if you've got something like the 1DX Mark II or Mark III or anything like that, you probably wouldn't be using this really cheap rig, but just in case you were considering it, this is about the amount of room you've got. So this would be amazing for mirrorless cameras because they are so small, and for some lighter weight, kind of smaller, maybe micro four thirds APS-C sized DSLRs, this is an excellent solution. Another crazy experiment that I've tried recently is putting the Manfrotto mini tripod on this thing. Like, it won't stand up if you put it on a surface, but you could, in theory, vlog with this. And that is crazy, and my arm is already dead, but look at this right now. But again, the versatility of this setup, really, really a strong point. So let's talk price on these items. I've mentioned a couple already. This SmallRig phone mount thing for your phone that you hopefully already have is about $10, $11 here in Canada. I do have this light. That was about $28, $30 when I bought it. The Rode VideoMic Pro, that's a couple $100, but you can go with some other cheaper options from Rode or other brands if you're into that. The actual Z Grip thing, that was about $27, $28. There are some different versions with different numbers of hot shoe mounts, different materials, so do watch out for that. And then obviously the camera is going to vary for everyone. Just use whatever camera you have, or if you're looking at getting a camera, I would recommend starting with something, probably something in Canon's mirrorless or kind of entry-level APS-C DSLR line for this system if you were going to kind of get into that, and then you can get some really, really good results. Now, if you're using kind of a beginner-style camera, you're not going to be shooting documentaries in log and doing crazy stuff like that. But this is a really versatile system, and it lends itself well to kind of upgrading in the future. Whereas a lot of more expensive rail-based solutions, rails are built for one model of camera, they'll cost hundreds of dollars, then you need to mount all of these expensive accessories, whereas this is really just a cheap and easy way to look professional. Like, the placebo effect with clients is real. So if you show up rocking this, I'm sure a few people are going to turn some heads. So hopefully this video gave you some insight into how to kind of build out a kit around your camera instead of just holding it with the lens, pointing it at something and shooting it. I've brought this kind of kit to a couple of shoots where I'm like, okay, I know I need to shoot a various variety of things, so I will bring that kit. I will have a microphone, I will have light, I will have everything I need in order to shoot. So that's it for this video. Right now I'm actually filming on my budget-ish vlogging setup that I outlined in likely the last video that I released. So you can definitely check that out. There will be a link in the description and on the end screen. So you can check out my other kind of more run and gun shooting kit if you're interested in that. Other than that, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter at KyleGNew. And yeah, see you in the next video.